Hey guys, Raptor Squad member Axel here today.
Hey guys, Raptor Squad member Joey here today.
Dinosaur here. And this is Raptor Squad member Phantom Studios. And in this podcast, we will discuss Jurassic World. And we have guest Jurassic Collectables. Be sure to check out his channel. He has really great reviews. And we have some questions today. So, Axel, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So, I have around 6 topics to talk about, mainly surrounding the movie, and a little bit about the merchandise. Since we're seeing Jurassic World now, what are your thoughts on the Indominus Rex, and do you think it was well done, and how do you like its portrayal in the movie?
I thought the Indominus Rex was handled pretty well. I was surprised that I ended up kind of getting really excited when the Indominus Rex escaped from its paddock. That was probably for me, was the most suspenseful scene, was right at the beginning when it broke out of the cage and, it was actually inside the cage still. I thought that was really cool. And then also the death of the worker was pretty savage as well. So yeah, I like the introduction of the Indominus Rex. I think as a whole, the Indominus Rex should have had more time spent lurking around the island, and kind of maybe there could have been more suspense rather than seeing so much of her. But overall, I thought it was pretty cool the way they handled the Indominus Rex.
Okay. And how do you kind of feel like it looked very dinosaur-like, like it looked natural and believable?
Yeah, it's a tricky line when you start going into hybrid territory. It's always a question of how do you balance making it look like a hybrid with making it look like a dinosaur. And in the end, I think it was sort of a mixture between a T-Rex, a raptor, and its pale skin obviously went with that sort of genetically modified feeling, that translucent golem type skin. I thought it was done pretty well. I think the only thing was, although it was a mixture of loads of different things, there wasn't like a clear hybrid that it was made from. But in some ways that worked in its favor. I think having the cuttlefish explained, and the fact that it can blend in with its surroundings. I think it would have been cool to have seen it done that a few more times, blending in with its surroundings. But overall, I thought it was pretty well designed. A lot of people are saying that maybe it sort of got averaged down to looking too much like a normal dinosaur anyway, and I can see where they're coming from. Like it kind of looks a bit like an Allosaurus, but with little spines going along its back. So, in that way, then you kind of think, well, did it need to be a hybrid? And then it comes back to that question of, do you like the hybrid or not? And personally, I thought it worked effectively in the film.
Yeah, I agree with you. And overall, I loved it. I pretty much loved the Indominus Rex. At first, of course, like a lot of Jurassic Park fans, I was also very skeptical when I
Yeah,
first heard about Jurassic World was gonna get a hybrid dinosaur.
yeah,
I wasn't really so keen about it at all. But after seeing the design of the Indominus Rex and hearing more information about it, I've pretty much grown to love it overall. I think it's a cool new creature we've seen in the
yeah,
movie, something very different than we haven't seen before.
yeah. I think it
And
was handled very gracefully.
yeah, and actually, in my opinion, because it was so well done, I have to say, every time on the big screen when I was looking at the Indominus Rex, I didn't see it as a hybrid dinosaur because it looked so natural. If I
Mm.
didn't know it was a hybrid dinosaur, I pretty much think it will be a Giganotosaurus. A
Yeah,
very, pretty much a Giganotosaurus on steroids.
yeah, exactly. Which I think probably if they'd just said they'd bred a bigger dinosaur, but they didn't know what its behavioral traits were, it might have worked just as well. And actually, this whole hoo-ha about the hybrid, might not have never, have come up. It definitely feels like the hybrid idea was something that they had very early on in the script, and Colin Trevorrow couldn't write that out of the script. And by the time
Yeah,
it wound up being in the film, it seemed to me like it was just behaving like a normal dinosaur with a few extra a few extra features thrown in. So yeah, it doesn't feel too much like a hybrid when you watch the movie. It just feels like another dinosaur.
Yeah. The only
You
kind
know,
of downside. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, like, the way that when we met the Dilophosaur in the first film, it could spit venom and blind people. There was no reason why
Yeah.
they couldn't have introduced the Giganotosaurus or whatever dinosaur and said, oh yeah, but it turns out that this one is actually super smart and has a feature where it can blend into its surroundings. There's no reason why they couldn't have just said that when they introduced the dinosaur, and then that kind of takes this whole hybrid plausibility aspect out of the story immediately.
Yeah, the kind of downside with the movie and with Universal was that the goal was to have a hybrid dinosaur for a very
Yeah,
long time.
yeah.
But I think it turned out very effectively.
Hmm. I think in a way I forgot that it was a hybrid, and that made it effective. I think if I'd been really aware that it was a hybrid and it started doing different animalistic things all the time, then it might have been a bit of a kind of like, whoa, too much. But I think the way they handled it was more dinosaur-like than anything.
Yeah, I'm very pleased that Colin wanted to make it as dinosaur-like as possible, but he
Yeah.
didn't want to make it like a freak or make it look like a piranha or something like that.
Mm.
Okay, so my second topic here is how did you like the CGI in the movie?
Um, I think the CGI, I think everyone's in agreement that the CGI looked like it needed work. I think the Indominus Rex was probably done the best. Um,
Yeah,
when you saw the Indominus Rex, it had a real nice textural quality to it, and I think probably the Indominus Rex looked the best in most of the shots I saw. And obviously, it's because Indominus Rex is the hero of the film. I'd say where the effects were really lacking was more on the raptors. I think that the raptors might have been overlooked because they're dinosaurs that we've seen before. So they might have thought, well, okay, we don't need to spend so much time refining these. They've already established a look for it. But actually, I think they should have spent more time making sure that they were closer to that look. I felt like the raptors had a sort of like waxy quality to their skin that
hmm
like you don't see in the original raptors. In the original film, they have very opaque reptilian skin, and I think apart from the
yeah,
animatronic heads, the CGI looked very sort of translucent and waxy.
I can see what you mean. And it's funny how you mentioned about the raptors, because especially of the raptors, not only once but several times throughout the movie, I also thought it was really good in my opinion, but it could
Yeah,
have been better.
yeah. I think the likeness was almost there. It was about 90% of the way they look. So it was enough for you to identify them as the Raptors, but there was certainly a feeling
Yeah,
of they've changed a lot since the last time we saw them. They definitely felt less opaque and more waxy and translucent.
okay, so my third topic here is how do you feel about seeing Rexy, the original Tyrannosaurus, again in Jurassic World?
Yeah, I think that was one of the redeeming factors of the film, and a lot of fans felt rewarded by that. I felt maybe the T-Rex didn't get enough screen time in the fight. I know it was longer than the one we saw in Jurassic Park 3, but I couldn't help but feel that that fight reminded me of the Spinosaurus fight in Jurassic Park 3. It had that same feeling, even down to the way that they fought each other. And as much as I was kind of like, cool, it's the female Tyrannosaurus Rex, I think there are other things that she could have done that maybe would have been more like the T Rex that we know in the other movies. A lot of the time when we see the T Rex in the other films, it's implied that she's there through shadows or through her head lingering in the background or, things where we don't see her whole body straight away. And I think maybe they could have kind of given that sequence more breathing room so that you really felt the presence of the female Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I agree with you actually there. in one way, I'm kind of happy because we know that she kind of was like a hero at the end to try to take out the Indominus Rex.
Yeah,
And they teased her from the movie showing glimpses of her head at the T-Rex video show in T-Rex Kingdom.
yeah,
But I love the build-up, and especially when Claire was looming around, and I was blown away at the end when with her appearance at the final, and especially when she was smashing through the Spinosaurus skeleton, and with the music playing in the background, it pretty much felt like she was portrayed as a true hero right there.
yeah.
Like a very kind of heroic music.
Yeah, that was cool to see her back again.
Yeah.
Did you think that she looked a little bit different to how we've seen her in the other films?
Yeah, I actually think she kind of looks a little bit different in some ways, and in one, though, I have to say that she doesn't deserve like the design of her CGI. The
Yeah,
character, it doesn't deserve so much hate, kind of that it gets. I think it gets too much hate and criticism.
yeah,
I thought it was really good, and especially when she was staring at Blue and when she was roaring on the helipad. But
yeah,
and I know that they wanted to kind of update her design with the scars on her neck
yeah.
and make her look older with the dark coloration, and that worked very effectively. I think I still remember the first time when I saw her in the trailer. Not only
Yeah.
was I blown away that time as well, but I could also tell her that she indeed looked older. With her, she kind of looked more dark brown than kind of
Mm,
grayish color in the first movie.
yeah.
Also, her eyes look very well. I remember, I believe it was you did a podcast with Stupendous Wave.
Yeah.
I was listening to it, and her eyes kind of looked like it was a glass ball.
Yeah, that's right. They look more glassy and wet, and obviously
Yeah,
that's due to kind of technology updating, and shaders in 3D have improved vastly, and they did it on the Raptor's eyes as well. Um, and I think when we've seen the dinosaurs in the previous movies, although they might have specular highlights on the eyes, they seem to really push those glassy looking eyes on all the animals. Um, and I think it's just that we haven't seen that before in the other Jurassic Park movies. They had it, but it wasn't so prominent. Um, so
yeah,
I think the glassy eye was on the Tyrannosaurus Rex was different, because I think in the first film her eyes were almost like almost an opaque yellow, which isn't genuine, but it was closer to the Stan Winston model because obviously it was a painted eye. It was
yeah.
closer to the practical effect in the first film, but still cool to see. You know, she kind of got an upgrade basically. I think her head was a little bit off model as well. If I'm honest, the head was a little bit out of proportion. It looked a little bit wide, and I'd have to go
Well,
back through the film on Blu-ray and tell you exactly what's different about her. But she definitely was slightly off model.
I can see what you mean, and I didn't mind the head too much,
Mm,
but it kind of looked a little bit longer, if you ask me, than in the
mm,
first movie.
yeah.
But other than that, I think her design in Jurassic World was almost perfect, but it could have been better a few times. But overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed seeing her back, so that was the main thing. It was cool to see her back. And also, you
Exactly.
know, the fact that the Indominus Rex, you know, bit the bullet at the end and died. I think that was a good thing.
Agreed. And it was I kind of expected that she would kill the Indominus at first, but I thought it was cool to see the Mosasaur jump out of the water out of nowhere and kill the Indominus.
Yeah, that was a cool twist at the end. I think I
Yeah,
think like I said, the battle leading up to it could have been paced better, but the payoff at the end was good because the Indominus Rex died in a very fitting way.
yeah, I agree. And also, I remember, according to all the leaked information I've read on the internet, I remember that one of the fight information was leaked. According to the leak, the fight was supposed to be 10 minutes long, but it felt like it was around maybe 3 minutes long.
Yeah, I think it wasn't that long. It was about 2, 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah, so it was very short, but I thought it was cool, and it wasn't
Mm.
really like it wasn't exaggerated, which was a good sign because usually like superhero movies and stuff like that, some end battles in movies can be really tiring at the end, and I'm glad they didn't
Yeah,
do that in Jurassic World.
yeah, no, it's a good point. And what I liked about it is that at the end, the thing was about the first Jurassic Park, right at the end, is that no, even though the raptors were super intelligent and they were threatening Alan and Ellie and Tim and Lex, at the end, this brutal, animalistic T-Rex that was almost like a lion just came in and snapped up the raptors at the end of the first film. So it
Mm,
was almost like nature wins at the end of the day. Nature always wins. It doesn't matter how smart or how genetically modified an animal is, nature always wins. And it was echoed here at the end of this battle when the mosasaur came out, this wild, basically a dumb creature came out of the water and just snapped up the Indominus Rex, even though it was so smart and so strong. This wild animalistic mosasaur just came up and snapped her up. I thought that was a nice echo of the first film.
yeah, yeah, it was awesome. And my fourth topic here is what is your favorite raptor out of Blue, Delta, Echo, and Charlie?
Sorry, could you repeat that one?
Okay, which one of the Raptors out of Blue, Delta, Echo, and Charlie is your favorite, and why?
Oh, I think Blue was my favorite because that was the one that was kind of that was the one that survived at the end. Um, yeah, I thought they were all cool, but
Hmm.
I had some trouble buying the plausibility trained raptors, and I think I still do. I don't know that raptors would be that well trained, and I know they turn halfway through the film, but I still don't buy that relationship between Owen and the raptors. I think I would have preferred them stay wild as they were in the other films, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been skeptical about that, and some people kind of compare that with that would be like kind of turning Jaws in one way, because
Yeah,
we all know Raptors are really intimidating and they're so cool at the same time, and it would really fit the Raptors in a Jurassic Park to be trained.
yeah,
But to be honest, I didn't mind it because I kind of more looked at it as a pack relationship, and
yeah.
especially between Owen and Blue. Also, I like Blue, but I like all of them. But I was more attached to Blue than the other Raptors. I thought she was cool, and I love her blue stripe across her body, and I like her personality.
Yeah, yeah. I thought they did some cool stuff with the Raptors. I just felt it was a shame that they were sort of taken down a notch from the Indominus Rex in a way.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I didn't expect this from the very beginning. But I thought Blue was dead, but then she comes and saves Rexy from the Indominus Rex.
Yeah.
Okay, so my fifth topic here is what's your favorite Jurassic World merchandise so far?
I really liked the interactive app stuff. I think that's a really fitting um, like product to tie in with something that's so futuristic. If you think about like the original Jurassic Park, how they were using touchscreen CD-ROMs and they were using virtual reality to sort through DNA, and then
Yeah,
you flash forward to Jurassic World, and now they're using holograms, and they've got hybrid dinosaurs. So I thought that it was really fitting that they brought out these really cool apps. So the one that I really liked was the Effexio app, where you can superimpose your own 3D dinosaurs into your footage. And I did a video review of that. And the other one was the book. I forget what it's called. but I reviewed the book and the app where it essentially on each page where it's got this little QR code, the app picks it up and then it creates an avatar of a dinosaur that walks round and it tracks to its surroundings. So as you move the camera, it stays with its feet
Yeah.
on the ground. And I think that's really smart. Like those apps, are really fitting for the technology of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and especially about book that you mentioned. I believe it was called augmented reality feature.
That's it. Yeah.
And I agree, that was really cool. I'm gonna have to pick that book up soon. It was really cool, and basically seeing from a book dinosaurs come alive.
Yeah, where dinosaurs come to life. That's it. The book. And then it's got an
Exactly.
augmented reality app, and it's on Android and iOS, which is pretty good because the Effexio app is currently only on the iOS, but this one was both on Android and iOS. So yeah, really worth a pick up that one, and it's cool, because you can take photographs of it as well. So you kind of got like your own virtual dinosaur, which I thought was pretty cool. I think the next step
Yeah.
would be if they turn that into like a Tamagotchi where you have to feed it and keep it alive. That would be cool.
Yeah, kind of like a game at the same time.
Yeah, almost like your own pet dinosaur, and maybe it's got its own paddock. Um, you know,
Yeah.
there's so many potentials for Jurassic World games. I really hope they make a movie tie-in game now that the film has done so well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then last but not least, my last topic here is what are your thoughts on the Jurassic World Legos?
Yeah, they're brilliant. I mean, in terms of if you look at the all of the Jurassic World products, I think the Lego has probably come out on top for me, both in the game
Yeah.
and the products. I think they're fantastic. I think they're so true to the film and yet done so well with all their little gimmicks. I think they've really outdone the Hasbro toy line, if I'm honest. Um,
Agreed.
al- Although the second wave of Hasbro seems to be much more exciting than the first wave, which seems really weird. Like I might have released the first wave as the second wave, if you see what I mean,
Yeah.
because there are some cooler toys that they seem to be bringing out in the second wave. But yeah, the Jurassic World Lego, I think they've just done a brilliant job.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think they are a lot better than the Hasbro's toys, if you ask me. And
Yeah,
especially because Lego are usually they usually create very accurate themes and sets for
yeah,
what they create. And no except for sorry I can't talk. No exception for Jurassic World. I think that all the dinosaurs were very well done,
yeah.
and especially with the Raptor Rampage setup. But it's not only does it have is it a cool setting overall, but it represents a scene of a movie, which is
Yeah,
brilliant. I think.
yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, I've got something like childlike attached to the Lego City sets, which were the ones when I was little. I used to really like the Lego City sets because you'd get like a vehicle and some minifigures and maybe a setting. And they seem to have emulated the cool parts of their old sets, like the city line, and they've brought it into the modern age and made it something from Jurassic World. So you get this really cool vehicle, which is the veterinary like vehicle, and then you've got the raptors and the minifigures. I just think it's a fantastic idea, and I'm surprised they
Yeah.
haven't done the older sets. I'm really hoping now that with the success of that set, they'll go back and do the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and then now with the huge success of Jurassic World and with so much money in the box office, hopefully we might get some more Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Legos. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
we will. It's just like a matter of license and with the money. Money's the key usually.
yeah. I think what would be really cool, and I don't know if they'd ever do this, but if they went back and did a game about the first film. And I know at the moment they'd be more likely to release a game about Jurassic World, but if there was any way they could do a game that was just the first film and you learn a bit more about the first film and you kind of you get to interact with the characters a bit more, but it is essentially the first film. I think that could be really, really cool if they did it really well. But I think more likely at the moment is a Jurassic World tie-in movie game at some point.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and I love more Jurassic Park games based on the first movie, but I probably think that we'll most likely see one based on the Jurassic World.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to see something similar, in my opinion, to the Jurassic Park Telltale game, which I love.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so those were all my topics, and now I'm gonna have it over to Joey.
Okay, so I've got 6 questions as well. My first is, what are your thoughts on the ending?
Yeah, I thought. Do you mean after the fight or including the fight?
Like, yeah, I should have been more specific. Like, when the mosasaur eats the Indominus, like,
So
right, like how the fight ends. That's
yeah,
what I mean.
so I thought the ending of the fight was much better than the whole. I thought the ending with the mosasaur, as I was saying to Axel, sort of echoed the ending of the first film where nature wins. You know, this big dumb animal takes out the Indominus Rex at the end. No matter how smart it is or how strong it is, it essentially sums up the whole meaning of Jurassic Park, that nature wins every time. Life just finds a way, even if it's through brute force, and that's what happens at the end. Brute force wins, and I think that's really nice to have ended on that. What I didn't like was the actual fight itself, and I felt it could have been a little bit more paced better. I think there could have been more breathing space between maybe each of the dinosaurs fighting each other, and when the T-Rex came out, maybe we could have had a bit more suspense and a bit more of the T-Rex just hanging around and doing things, maybe causing havoc. I think also all the tourists had left by that point, so you didn't really get to see the T-Rex causing chaos again, which might have been cool. But overall, yeah, I think that was the redeeming factor of the film, was the end battle. I just felt that there were too many dinosaurs going on at the same time.
There could have definitely, it could have definitely been different for the better. Like, it would have been cool if when the T-Rex Kingdom paddock door was opening, like just seeing her feet and then just like going to Claire, just leaving people in suspense. And originally the fight was gonna take place during a storm. It was supposed to be raining. Imagine how
Right.
cool it would be
Yeah,
if
that would have been awesome. You know, there was very much a sense of Claire going to the T-Rex paddock and kind of thinking, yeah, this is fine. I've done this before. I've let the T-Rex out before and followed a flare. You know, there wasn't any real tension there in terms of Claire and the T-Rex. You know, like what's to say when she let it out that the T-Rex didn't just snap out of the dark and eat her like straight away? There wasn't any of that feeling, and I felt like maybe if she'd seen the T-Rex, she would have been like, oh, you know, and sort of run to one side and maybe hidden somewhere, and then you could have had that tension of the T-Rex actually looking for her first. You know, like kind of thinking, oh, you know, I'm after her, but then she throws the flare. So you just get more of a feeling of the T-Rex is actually still a threat to anyone, not just to the Indominus Rex.
Yeah, I mean, it really did seem like it was just a threat to the Indominus Rex. Like, I know it chased her, but like right away, once the flare hit the Indominus, it just started to attack it instantly. It's almost like it seems to me like it almost intentionally wanted to save the day. That's something that I love about Rexy. She always shows up at the right place, right time. In the first movie, she saved Dr. Grant, Ellie, and the kids from the Raptors. Even in Jurassic Park, the game, she ate Billy Yoder, who's about to kill Nima.
Yeah.
And in Jurassic World, she saved everyone from the Indominus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice echo of that sort of sentiment of the T-Rex. I think the T-Rex has always been this big animalistic opportunist who just turns up at random times and just does the right thing. So definitely in that respect, I can see, yeah, that's faithful to the rest of the franchise. But I think she also in the first film still had that threat about her. You know, you think about the whole T-Rex attacking the Land Rovers. I think that, that she should have had a bit of that as well, a bit of causing chaos.
Yeah, according to the leaks, she was originally. Now I know, of course, it's not true. One of the rumors, though, a long time ago, was that she was going to attack the gyrosphere instead of the Indominus. And
That
there's
would have
even
been cool.
rumors from extras that there's a T-Rex chase scene.
Oh man, I would have loved to have seen that. Oh.
And I seriously believed it because it came from extras. I thought, oh, they were on set, so
Well,
this.
they could have filmed loads of stuff because I was thinking about this. I'm pretty sure we heard loads of different things from people, and it's quite possible that they were all shot and then cut in the editing room because that's quite a clever way to shoot it. If you overshoot a movie and then cut out what you don't need.
It's really sad to say, but that's one of my biggest disappointments with this movie. There was a lot of different scenes they're going to have, but then they ended up cutting them out for whatever reason. Like, for example, there's going to be a scene where one of the Raptors, I think Blue, was going to jump on the Indominus, slow motion, and you could see a close-up of her claws going into its side. And also there's going to be a scene, I think right around the time of the final fight, it would be at night, and it would show like a top view of the mosasaur swimming in the lagoon, and you would see it when the lights from the Innovation Center shine on it.
Oh, that would have been cool. Yeah, I think
And
there's a lot of like shots like that where I feel maybe Colin Trevorrow didn't get the film he wanted, and in some ways, like maybe there was a lot more to it.
I don't know if you heard about it, but Stegoceratops was supposed to appear in the flesh at one point.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'd be really cool to see the asset, but like I'm kind of glad they cut it out because again, it's one of those things where it's like, what? Like, like, like you go to the nth degree with the hybrid theory, the whole hybrid idea. I just think it's kind of good that they cut that out in a way.
And apparently they had the reasons. Like, they had a really good reason. Colin said that he wanted the Indominus to be unique, and he thought that if they kept the Stegoceratops, then it wouldn't be as special. But with the Stegoceratops, it would be obvious. Like, just looking at it, even if you didn't know what it was, it would be obvious that it was a hybrid. You can't even tell. Like,
Yeah.
if I had no idea what it was, if I had no idea about the background information, I think it was an albino Giganotosaurus.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying to Axel is that it could have been a dinosaur. I do feel very much like the hybrid thread, the whole storyline was something that was enforced by Universal. Because if you look back at the script development since 2004, from what we've heard, hybrids have always been in the story. And I feel like this was something that Trevorrow was forced to put in the film in some form. And he kind of basically turned the hybrid into as much of a dinosaur as he could. And that's probably what the Indominus Rex ended up being. Also, the Raptors being used as weapons, we heard, was an idea in the original script back in 2004. So again, that's something that he might have had to have put in the story. And I think both of those elements of the story, the hybrid dinosaur and the Raptors being perceived as weapons, felt alien to the Jurassic Park franchise. But I'm pretty sure there's some group of producers somewhere that insisted on the hybrid dinosaur and the Raptors being used as weapons, keeping that in the story, because I can't see the sense in it. But now the movie's been a massive success, I'm sure those producers are going to turn around and go, well, we were right. Look, we put hybrid dinosaurs in, we put weaponized dinosaurs in, and look, everyone loves it. So I feel like that's definitely a studio motivated decision. I feel like Colin Trevorrow tried as much as possible to get it back to the original film.
Yeah. I mean, the Indominus originally wasn't going to look so realistic. It went through so many design changes. At one point, it had a snake-like head. It had basically the same body, but it had like more of a slim, like I don't really know how to describe it. Like in the proportions just made it look more like a snake. At one point, I heard it was actually going to be a Mozziacosaurus, which that would have been cool since that was a dinosaur that existed in real life. That was their
Yeah.
plan. That it was going to be a Mozziacosaurus just with all those abilities.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. I think, a Giganotosaurus would have been just as exciting as, Indominus Rex. And I think maybe they would have got less of a backlash from fans and a bit less skepticism if it had just been. But I suppose the problem is by making it just another big dinosaur, they risked the franchise feeling too much like Jurassic Park 3. And I think that's why the Indominus Rex was injected as a movie, as kind of the studio motivated decision, because they were like, well, we can't do another big T-Rex because everyone, slated that. So where else can we go but create something new? And that's unfortunately, I think, where the hybrid came from. But I think the core elements of Jurassic Park, you've got enough there to play with to make the franchise exciting. You didn't necessarily need these new elements, but there we go. It's done well anyway.
I mean, I think a part of the reason they didn't want to make it a Giganotosaurus is because, just like with the Dilophosaurus in the first movie, that was a dinosaur that existed in real life. They just added some fictional parts, and after Jurassic Park came out, all sorts of toy companies and everything else started making their Dilophosaurus toys based on the one in Jurassic Park. They got around it because the name wasn't trademarked. I think Universal wanted to trademark the name so no other companies can like copy it.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's
If they
interesting. I
made a
suppose that's true. But then that's a real problem, because then that's why I think it was a studio motivated decision. That makes more sense. Again, back to this studio making the decision that ties into the Indominus Rex being a product rather than a story element. It's like, well, if we can market something that's wholly ours and no one else has an Indominus Rex, then we can make more money. And then it's like, well, wait a minute, why are you putting this in the film? If you want to do a film with your made up dinosaurs, then go somewhere else. But Jurassic Park wasn't ever about that. So it worked in the film because it was dinosaur-like, so it worked. But in other hands, it might have gone into kind of monster territory, a bit more like Pacific Rim.
Yeah. My next question is, what are your ideas for a sequel?
I'd really like to see maybe we go back and find out what's going on with Isla Sorna. But also, I don't know, I feel like I want to return to less is more. I don't feel like we need to necessarily have a whole park up and running again. That would be too preposterous. I feel like you just want to spend some time with the dinosaurs, stalking people and taking their time. I'm not sure where the story could go now, because it's gone into a territory where I didn't expect it, and I'm not sure I like where it's gone. And I feel like, if they'd kept Jurassic World going into a sequel, that might have been more plausible. So if the theme park carried on, but I can't see that happening with the amount of chaos that happened in this film. I can't see them continuing the theme park again.
Some people are even, and I hope to God this doesn't happen, some people are speculating that, like, after hearing Vic Hoskins' plans, that maybe the sequel would be about militarized dinosaurs. I really hope that doesn't happen. That would be pretty much just like the John Sayles script.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the problem. That's what I feel was the studio motivated decision, and unfortunately, to me, that feels like the way that's the franchise is going. Colin Trevorrow has obviously tried as much as possible to keep true to the source material whilst having to juggle these weird studio decisions, and he's tried to touch on the weapons but not focus on it. And unfortunately, that means the next film might have to focus on it, and I think that's going to alienate a lot of Jurassic Park fans.
I'm honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm honestly concerned about like the direction the franchise is going, like with the sequels. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they go back to the island. What I hope is they go back to the island, and it's kind of like the Lost World, and they like go back after it's been abandoned so many years. I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's very plausible. But then, unfortunately, we get into the territory of the Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 again. It's trying to find a way to make the franchise go somewhere it hasn't gone before, but unfortunately, it'll come at a cost, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, what are your ideas for a future toy line?
I think a future toy line should incorporate as much of the original dinosaurs as possible. Like, try and get some really cool designs from the original film. I think if they did like a classic series, I think adult collectors would be really into that. Like, to basically re-release the Kenner ones. I think they could make a fortune on that, which I'm surprised they haven't done, actually. But it'd be cool if they kind of re-released or did a new release of the original classic line.
That's something a lot of collectors have wanted, definitely. That would be a huge success. If only Hasbro knew. It's just Hasbro doesn't seem to know the first thing about what us JP fans want. They always get it. They always nail it when it comes to Star Wars and other big toy lines, but us JP fans seem to always get the worst luck.
Yeah, I think
them.
it's because they feel like with dinosaurs that anyone, will buy the toys because it's such a big franchise. But it's unfortunate that we kind of we drew the short stick this time. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to head off. But thanks very much for having me.
Thank you for being here for such a last-minute planning.
Yeah, sorry to have to cut it short, but I have to head off now.
No, that's okay.
Unfortunately, I was only here till 7, so I have to head off. But we can carry this on at another point, and I'm always happy to come back. It's been a real pleasure.
Okay, maybe we
Thank you
can
for joining us.
maybe we can record the rest maybe sometime later this week or maybe next week if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be great. All right, guys, thanks very much for having me, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
Speak to you soon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So, guys, that was the end of today's part 1 of this Jurassic World podcast with Jurassic Collectables. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, leave a like and stay tuned for part 2 that'll be coming up very soon. So that's it for me. You guys want to sign out?
This is Raptor Skull member Axel signing off.
Raptor Squad member Joey signing off.
This is Raptor Squad member JP Carnotaur signing off.
This is Raptor Squad member Phantom Studios signing off.